you doing, my friends? Thank you so much for tuning in to the second episode of Where to Start. It's just a little show that we do here on the channel because over the last decade, superheroes have become insanely popular in TV shows and on movies. Literally, it's creating new fans, and a lot of them might want to be better fans and be like, hey, I want to read some comics of this character that I now like, but then they walk into a comic book store and they're like, there's just too much, I don't know where to start. Get it? It's where to start. That's why we do this. And today, we are celebrating 80 years of Batman. That's right, it's the 80th anniversary of Batman, so I thought we would do an episode of Where to Start for one of my favorite superheroes. Even though he's not that super, he's still a hero to me. I was reading all the comments from episode 1. We've definitely fixed a few things in episode 2, and I was reading all the comments, and literally nobody asked for a Batman episode, but we did Marvel last week, so I wanted to do DC this week and talk about my favorite character, because I do get a lot of questions. It's like, hey, what's your favorite Star Wars? What's your favorite Batman comics? Now, we will be touching on one of my favorites, and one of them's not even in my top 10, but it might be my top 10. Let's just jump into it. And actually, before we do jump into it, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, because if you like this video, I guarantee you're going to like the other videos that we do here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram for other stuff. Yeah, just notifications. Okay, great. Let's find out where to start. That was a cool transition. So the first comic that I want to talk about is now this is literally my favorite Batman story. There are some great ones out there, and those two are at the top of my list, but this one is at the top of my favorite Batman stories, and we're talking about Hush. Now, Hush actually introduces a new villain to the Batman zeitgeist, and he already has a bunch of great villains, so why does another villain make this one so good? It's mainly because it's this giant, like, whodunit mystery where we actually have to see Batman as a detective find out, like, who's committing all these murders, and through the story we see a bunch of different cameos. There are some major reveals, and I don't want to spoil anything because I really do want you to read this comic. It's one of my favorites. I like it a lot, and I want to share that with you. So look this one up. It's good. It's just really good. You also see a bunch of other Batman villains acting in ways that you wouldn't normally see them in. It gets kind of spooky because at every single crime scene there's someone who's got their face wrapped up. It's good. It's one of my favorite, and if you want to read a great Batman story, this just gives you everything all in one story arc. So it's a must read for surezies. I'm so sorry for saying for surezies. Now, the first one was a longer title, yes, and the second one is actually a little bit shorter, but still really good, and we are talking about Under the Red Hood. Now, when you look at the giant library of great Batman books, there are others that should be on this list as well, but I wanted to have one on there that kind of opens up the world of the Batman universe a little bit and introduces us to a new character, Red Hood. In Under the Red Hood, this Red Hood guy is just kicking a whole lot of butt. Obviously, this gets the attention of Batman, who then shows up, and in their first encounter, Red Hood is able to unmask Batman, which is a big deal if you're reading this for the first time. Just like if you're reading Batman, and you don't know who Red Hood is yet, and it's like, oh my god, he unmasked Batman, he knows who Batman is. And then even the playing field, Red Hood actually then demasks himself, revealing, oh my god, it's Jason Todd! You know, the second Robin that the people actually voted to get killed? Yeah, Joker killed Jason Todd dies, comes back using the Lazarus Pit, and boom! He's the Red Hood now. And I know that we're talking about comics, and I want to promote the comics, but Under the Red Hood is my favorite DC animated film. The casting is just great in it. You've got John DiMaggio as Joker. You've got Neil Patrick Harris as Nightwing. Yeah, I'm all for it. So if you get a chance, you want to watch that, you can watch that, or you can read it. Definitely read it, because they're definitely two different things. It's another reason why it's so good is because it gets a little bit, you get some dark moments from it, which you should really always have in a Batman story. And I'm talking dark like Jason Todd holding a gun to Joker's head and Batman trying to stop him, and Jason's like, if you want to stop me from killing the Joker, you're gonna have to kill me. Again, I don't want to spoil anything to let you know how it all goes and how it ends, but so good. Under the Red Hood, read it. Now, last on my list, it's honestly not one of my favorite Batman stories, but I think arguably everyone would agree that it is a must-read at some point in time, and I can't agree to that. And it's Batman Dark Knight Returns. In Dark Knight Returns, this one actually isn't canon, technically, but a lot of people could find a point in the timeline where it does fit. And in this story, Batman has retired from being Batman. Bruce Wayne has retired from being Batman, and then he has to, like, he takes the mantle up again, becomes Batman when this new gang rises, and he fights these guys called the Mutants. Now, in him doing his, like, Batman just, like, he gives 0 Fs now. He's just like, I'm tired of this. He's not necessarily killing people, but he's a lot more brutal than he used to be. Anyways, all of this commotion Batman's causing, a corrupt government actually steps in to send in their tool. It's funny because he is a tool. They send in Superman to kind of stop Batman from going too crazy. And they want him to be non-violent, but you know, they send in Superman just in case if things get a little hairy, he can take care of it. Well, guess what? Things do get a little violent. And Batman and Superman, you know, we get some versus action. And it's a dark story. We even get a female Robin in this particular story. Yeah, there's a 2-part Warner Brothers animated film. Yes, you can watch that, but again, I couldn't stress enough you should read the comic because there's just so much in there. Plus, it's Mark Miller, and anything Mark Miller does is legendary. So, Dark Knight Returns, a must-read if you want to find like a great one-off Batman book to read. This is a great place to start. Because technically it's not canon, but there's nothing really before it that you need to read. There's nothing after it that you need to read if you want to keep the story going. Dark Knight Returns, it's great. You should read it. There you go. And that's it. That is the second episode of Where to Start for Batman. So if you find yourself wanting to read more Batman stories just so you can be a better fan of the franchise, these are 3 stories to start with. I would love to do another episode of Batman down the road. Actually, there's all of these episodes, I'm only naming 3 different story arcs to read, so it really only scratches the surface. So I'd like to I'd like to revisit a few of these episodes in the future, but there's just so many episodes to do and so many characters to cover. And that's where I want to come to you guys. Let me know in the comments below if there's a particular character that you want me to cover and do here on Where to Start, whether it be a hero or a villain. I want to hear what you guys are talking about because you guys are going to decide what episodes we cover. In the description, I put what stories we actually talked about today. And if you're like, where do I get these comics? Of course, you can go to Amazon and buy the hardcover. You can also do like Comixology. You can do Marvel Unlimited. There's so many different options. DC Universe has their comic platform on there, so you can do that and then also watch Titans and Doom Patrol, which we're going to talk about those in a future episode too. That's it from me. Get to reading. I'm just happy to be able to promote some comic books in the world again, because let's bring back a medium that we love. So till the next time, I'll see you later.